Start again.
Hi, I'm John Shetler, and today we are working on Tutorial 3, the Refining Sketch. The purpose of this tutorial is to work out issues with form, function, arrangement of features. We're going to make a pencil sketch in two-point perspective. And we're going to start again with our five-view drawing, which I'm showing over here, of Tutorial 1. And we're going to use that as reference. We also have the toaster here, and we're going to start the project using the toaster and the reference drawing. Okay, the other thing before we get started, you're looking at the 2 points on the horizon line, and the reason we have it, the horizon line or eye line is above, we're looking down on the toaster. And so I have the vanishing points as far out on the edge of the foam core as possible. And the reason for that is we're using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in landscape position, and we want the toaster not to be distorted or too small. And so that is the reason to have the vanishing points as far out on the horizon line or eye line as possible. The other thing I want to mention before I start here is that we have we're showing using push pins and string. The string is a very fast way to set up two-point perspective. And so I'm showing push pins again. I'm repeating myself, but it's important that you can use tape for both the horizon line or eye line and to hold down the vanishing points on the horizon line. So you can do this on any flat surface available to you. Okay, let's begin. Also, I want to mention I have underneath, you can see a faint shadow of a toaster. And the reason I put that underneath is because in essence of time, which is only 5 or 10 minutes versus 35 to do the full drawing, I'm putting that drawing underneath to go from there. So let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is remember how we found the length and the height of the original box. And we looked at the toaster and we got a unit of measure by holding our pencil up and seeing the toaster, and we got our unit of measure. Then we took and we looked at using the same pencil and finding that if we held the pencil at the end of the toaster, that we had a 1 1/3 unit of measure for the length. So we came back to the sheet of paper, do the same thing again. You see, we have the unit. And we have the length, which is a little longer. Now, a unit and a third. First thing we want to do is we want to lay in a ground line, which is basically, I'll put a dot here, and as you see I have a straight edge. And this is the only tool, other than the string and other than the pencil, I'm going to use. And I'm going to put in very faintly the ground line for length. Now, I pulled my pen out. This is something that's going to happen to everyone, whether you're using tape or push pins. So I have to put the vanishing point pin back in, and I'm going to stretch it out. And sometimes I just hold the pin in to be sure. I have a fairly accurate line here. Put a point in here, and I'm going to draw a straight line here, which will give you the ground line of the width. Now we want to look at the height, so we're going to go back to point 2, and we're going to put in the height, and we're going to draw Now, you must use the straight edge to put the verticals in. Now what I do is I just hold this straight edge to the paper, and before I do that I want to put in one more line. I'm going to put this in as the back line for the width. And I'm going to put a dot here, and quickly draw in the width. Next, I'm going to draw a line in here from vanishing point 2 or 1, doesn't matter, they're here. I'm going to put in a dot here. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, stretching the string, but it's close enough. Use straight edge again, kind of. Now we have a ground line. Okay, now if I want to, I can take this line and put a diagonal in. Quickly lay in, find the center of the box, and take this line, put a dot here, get the dot here and a dot here, connect them. Now you have the center. And if you go to this vanishing point and you put a dot, hold it through the center, put a dot here, dot here. Quickly draw a line through here. And now you have the center line, both for the width and the length on the base of the toaster. Now, the next thing you can do is go and hold the edge of the straight edge, so you have it 90 degrees, so it's matching up with the bottom of the paper. And now you're starting to put in the height, which is 1 unit of versus. And you draw these phantom lines in very lightly, because you can erase these at any time with your pencil, but be sure that your straight edge is on the edge of the paper, so you have a 90-degree or vertical line at all times. They must be vertical in creating this box. Now I'm lining up the back edge here. Okay. Now quickly we go to this, and now we can create a dot here, and we have not only the width, the height of the box. And now we want to put in the back edge, and we want to put the back of the toaster, and we do a dot here, and a dot here, and a dot here, and we lay in the back edge. And it's now connecting dots. Dot here, at the far side of the toaster, at the top of the toaster. Then we take this line, excuse me again, pull the string tight, and I'm holding it and putting 2 dots in here and here. You now have basically have laid in, and you can actually check yourself by being sure you're at the bottom of the paper and you're and I may have moved, so I'm a little bit off, so I'll correct it. And you're drawing lightly and you're using a pencil, so you can do that. And I'm not going to erase and take time to change things. I'm just going to continue on my way. And I will be a little bit off, but it's a little bit of engineering artist license. I draw these 2 in. And finally, from here to here will be the center line of the back of our toaster. So now you have basically the box has been drawn in. I didn't make this line dark enough here so you can see it. And now we can begin to lay out our toaster. Now there are a lot of lines on here, and I know they'll be a little confusing to you, but you can start to lay in the character lines using your reference drawing again. And so it doesn't need to be a fine art masterpiece, but just basically a drawing, getting the feel that it's not a square box. As you remember here on our drawing, we're showing dotted lines of where the box was versus the character lines. So let's begin the character line of the toaster on this side. So I'm going to draw this line down through here, basically to the bottom. Then I'm going to take that line just all the way around, okay? And I know this line dips up a little, which is okay. You can do whatever you want. And then if you remember, looking at the side, this line has a little sweep. So at the center, let's just take this and take this sweep up here. And let's take it back down here, okay? And then, on the back line of the surface of the toaster, now I'm going all the way out to here and making it a little bigger, because remember, this is a rounded oval. And so I'm going to just draw this through here lightly. And if you look at the toaster and you look at here, there's just a little bit of an edge on the front and the back. And so what I'm doing with this edge is okay, and I know it comes down and goes up just a little bit, sort of a sweep. And so as it goes up in the back, it goes around. And you have a little edge on it, like such, and you put that edge in. And you just have fun with this. And you keep drawing lines, and if they don't erase them, just enjoy them. Just keep drawing a line around the front, and they all start to come together. And this one will be a little bit off, but so now you have the base of the toaster. So you should be feeling pretty good. Now we're going to take the top of the end of the toaster, and if you remember, when you looked at the plan view of the toaster, it's round. So this shape here is basically a rounded shape that's on top of the toaster and coming around. And then this is the top of the toaster. And the reason I'm a little bit above the square, I'm keeping sort of in perspective, but I'm going around. I want to get this round shape, both in the plan view, side view, and front view, and rear view. So now I have that. And remember, I talked about in this is that the toasting mechanism is below the surface a little bit. So here, what we're doing here is we do have our lines again, we come back to lay in where the flat toasting surface is, which is down here. And then over here, and you notice I'm just using the string as a, okay. And this is the right side toasting surface, or opening, left. Over here is, remember this drawing, like the other tutorials, these are for you to understand your product and to create your product as you go forth. Okay? So we know we have a line here, so this becomes your, and I know it's a shaky line, and I'm doing this so you can see it, and I'll straighten that up after, but now you have, here's your toaster opening and your toaster opening. So you can start to see your three-dimensional shape on a one-dimensional sheet of paper starting to come to life. Now there's little mistakes like here. I didn't come over close enough, but you can see this section here of this coming down here and across like this and like this. So it kind of shows you this is a flat, this is a vertical, this is a flat. And I dare say that I'm going to put a shape in here showing you a section basically of this rounded toaster. So this helps you get a feel for this oval and this very rounded toaster. Okay, and you know this goes around here, and this is very rounded. Now, there's a lot of intricacies in here, but we don't have to worry about that. Just have fun. Okay, now let's look at the front of this toaster. Now remember the center line and the center line here. So I'm just going to draw a very small center line to show you this mechanism quickly. Okay, and this comes out like this, and then you go down here. You have, I'm doing this lightly, and this, and remember everything is symmetrical around center line. So what you have here is I'm putting in the front of the toaster, just sketching in quickly, and you have, and now I'm going to take time to lay this lever, which is coming down. As you can see, the lever is looks like it's pinched and has a little section like this, and you're pulling in. If you look at here, you take this again, remember you always have this available to you in that line, and you bring this line down, which is symmetrical around center line, which is here, and now you have your toaster knob, and back here you have a slot to pull the lever down, and you also have it in 2-point perspective. Now you see a lot of sketchy lines, and I don't want you to become frustrated with this, but this is a section line through here which wraps around like this. This section line goes here, this comes down, and right here, wow, we have here another knob. Okay, so we say this center of this knob is right here. Okay, and we're going to draw a center line through that. Maybe a little off, but don't worry. Doesn't have to be perfect. And so we'll draw, and this knob is to adjust the lightness and darkness of the toaster. Now, again, it's not in perfect drawing, but it gives you enough of an indication, and you've learned about the shape of this toaster as you go. Now, we're going to add this design line that they've used for the front of the toaster in. And as I said earlier, it's sort of a shape of a bullet, as I mentioned here, and you look at it from the front view, and you bring this around, and if I were taking 35 or 40 minutes, I would measure end to end to make sure it was symmetrical, but we're taking a lot of artist license. But the section of this comes up like this, and this is round. And then you bring this in, this ends here, of course, it blends into this side of the, and then you just come down and around like this. And now you have this shape coming in. Now also, across from this button, it kind of lines up. I'm going to line these buttons up so you can see quickly. Uh-oh. A little bit off, but we're okay. I'm just going to quickly indicate the cancel button over here, and the bottom is the warming button over here, so we just put this in. I know those line up, and I'm just going to do this and this. Line up the top of the buttons about right here. Shows to be about halfway down, so I'm going to lay those buttons in. And the little indicator buttons showing whether it's toast, bagel, frozen, or warm. Now you have basically the drawing. Now I haven't added any shading into it, but I have added sections so you can get a feel for this. Now if you were to take this, I would add a section, say into here, to show how this goes in. And you can do this. This is your drawing. Remember, when you're doing your product, this is all notes about how this, okay, we want this section to come out to here, so I was way off there. So now I come back with my lines and say, okay, that goes here. And this is rounded out here. And I'm going to use this line from here. And I'm going to basically just run a phantom section line here and show it wrapping around. And so you're starting to get a feel for this toaster. And so again, couple as I end this is rough, but it's your drawing. When you do this, refer to your tutorial 1 5-view drawing. Remember your customer use storyboard in tutorial 2. Also remember that you're observing and drawing. Observe and draw. Thank you very much.